All right, we're gonna learn how to create this very basic chessboard with only using one loop. Nothing in my JavaScript, an empty div in my HTML with the ID board, and nothing in CSS. Okay, const board is equal to document dot query selector selecting the ID board. How do we do this? Well, let's do a while loop. While board, let me close this so it doesn't run indefinitely. While board dot child element count is less than what? Well, how many squares do we want? We want 64 squares, right? 64. Whoops. Now, every time this loop runs, we need to create a new tile. Const tile is equal to document.create element, creating a, oh my gosh, div. Right. Now, once we created the div, how do we fill in these values like 0, 1, 2, 3? Well, first I'm going to do tile.id is going to be equal to child element count. And then tile.text content, which is what we're going to display, will be equal to tile.id. Now, if I run this on the live server, let's see what we get. Look, we get an infinite loop. Why is that? Well, that's because this is a while loop, but we haven't appended anything. We need to do board.append child. Append what? Append the freaking tile that we just made. Right now, let's run this again. Hey, it works. It just looks really ugly. Let's go to CSS, body, min height, 100 VH. So it looks better. Now, I'm going to show you guys how to take advantage of display grid, which is a lot better than the shitty display flex. Trust me, when you really understand how grid and flex works, you're just going to use grid all the time. All right, place content center. Cool. This looks kind of good already. Now, if we look at the HTML, we have board, and board has inner children we're going to create with a div. So we can do board. Now, board is a grid child of body, but it itself can also be a grid parent. Display grid. And I did display grid, so I can do this. Grid template columns. What? How many columns do we want? 8, right? Repeat. We want to repeat 8 times. How large is each column? 1 FR. So it's definitely responsive. Oh, look cool. How do we make it spacious like this? Well, board, and we're going to select all of the direct children, which are divs. Let's give it a padding, 0.8 rem. Cool. Right, and you can even do the star right here, and it will still work. Let's do border, 1px, solid red. We have our chessboard, and it's nearly complete. Right. Now, these are these center? Let me see. Text, align, center. Yep. Now they're super center. Look at this. And then let's do cursor, pointer. See, so now we get the hover effect. And then let's do another hover effect. Let's do background. Oh my gosh. This new keyboard sucks, dude. Let's just do blue, violet. Right? See? Isn't that cool? Okay, so now here comes the hardest part. How do we know which tile to color? If we look at this, our even rows, so row 0, this is row 0, which is even. Even rows are the odd tiles are colored, 1, 3, 5, 7. Right? But for odd rows, this is row 1, all the even tiles are colored. So how do we know if it's odd or even? Well, let's make a global variable. I'm going to do let is even row false, because we haven't started yet, right? But once we start, we're going to check. How do we know when we switch rows? Well, if you look at this column right here, 0, 8, 16, whenever we start a new row, the number is divisible by 8. So we're going to take advantage of that. Yeah. So we're going to say, hey, if what? If tile.id, which is the number itself, right? Because text content is tile ID. If tile.id divided by 8 is not an integer, how do we check? We can use number.isInteger. So if it is an integer, right, then isEvenRow will be equal to its opposite. Why does this work? Well, in the beginning, it's false. And then when it hits 0, it's going to be true. All the way until 8. Then it will be false again. Now, how do we know if something is an odd tile? Const is odd tile. And then we're going to use number.isInteger again. Right? And then we're going to use tile.id, right, which is the current tile number that it's on, divided by 2, and we're going to take the opposite of that. Okay, so that's how we determine odds and evens. Right? So now I'm going to do const passed. So pass means they pass every single check. What's every single check? Tile is colored if it is even row and odd tile, or if odd row and even tile. Okay, so since we have is even and is odd tile in a variable, it's actually very simple. I'm going to use this, the OR operator, and another parentheses. And look, how easy is this? Is even row and is odd tile, or copy these guys and put the logical not operator in front of everyone. Okay. And then down here, we can just say, let's go back to our current one so we can see when it's highlighted. So we're going to say if passed tile.background, oh my God, tile.style.background is equal to, let's say, blue. And look, it works. See, and it matches the highlights from our first one. Cool, right? And this is very, very readable. And it's pretty short. Our CSS is like only 19 lines long, and our JavaScript is only like 17 lines long. How cool is that, all right?